We're recording. I'm going to share my screen and then I'll introduce and then we can start. Is that okay?
That sounds great.
Perfect.
Just P.S. Is Kindle really good with video editing too? So you can take out any filler words and.
Yep. All right. Can you see that?
Yes.
Perfect. And I'm just going to do just this and ready to go. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Networking and Job Searching in a Virtual World, brought to you by the June Anderson Center for Women and Non-Traditional Students. Our presenters and co-sponsors today are Kathy Irons and Holly Allen from the Career Development Center here on campus. There will be resources listed at the end for you if you have any questions. So I'm just going to hand it back over to Kathy and Holly, and they will present for you here.
Thanks, Kendall. We're really glad to be with you today to talk about this interesting world we're living in. We're really excited to be partnering with the June Anderson Center for Women and Non-Traditional Students. Holly and I both have recareered, and so we know a little something about what it means to pivot later in life. I spent about 25 years in restaurant, retail, and large-scale athletic event management before I started working on campus here at the Career Development Center. And I'll let Holly tell you a little bit about her background.
Yes, so I have an 18-year career history in the film and production industry, film and video production, before transitioning to higher ed and career coaching.
So we bring a little bit of a unique perspective and different experience to what we do, and really want to always communicate that we're here to serve our students and alum, and we will meet you where we are. It is definitely a hot topic of conversation right now, if you will, that the job market has changed dramatically since the pandemic began last year. So what I want you to hear me say is, even though the job market has changed, there is still a tremendous amount of opportunity for you. And MTSU partners with different departments across campus to offer a lot of resources to you. So what we're going to do today is talk a little bit about the job search process and what might be different than what you think, and then share the resources that we have to support you in that, as well as talking about a recareering or pivoting population, because we know that a lot of people will be changing industries, and we'll talk about how to communicate those, what we like to call power skills, even though you've probably heard them called transferable skills. So I will tell you right off the bat that discouragement does not belong here. There are job opportunities all the time, and I would say especially during the pandemic and for our MTSU community. And what I mean by that, well, is number one, any experience is better than no experience. So any experience allows you the opportunity to beef up your resume and gain more power skills. Number two, MTSU launched last year Handshake, which is a career management platform to the university community. And I will tell you that, and of course, I'm looking at some numbers here. So last week, we posted over 1,000 job opportunities to MTSU students and alumni. Now, Handshake does include full-time, part-time, internship, as well as professional employment, and it is a national database. We average about 500 job postings every week, and Jeanette, our recruiting coordinator, sent me a message that said in the month of January alone, there were over 2,000 jobs posted in Handshake for our community, and over 450 of those were in the state of Tennessee. So we're also not talking about that you may have to relocate to do that. I think now more than ever, it's important to have the conversation about common career search or job search tactics that don't work, that are super easy. So for example, who's heard a friend say, I've been applying for jobs, and can't get a call back? I bet all of us have, right? And those are the people that are utilizing what I like to call the spray and pray method. They go to these big clearinghouse job sites like Monster and Indeed, Career Builder, and even sometimes LinkedIn is less effective. And they're sitting at home and they're just applying to jobs. And it's a very passive and an effective way to search for jobs, because the research shows those job postings at the big clearinghouse websites typically during this job market are going to have 400 to 500 applicants per posting. So it's really difficult for you to trust that your resume is going to allow you to overcome the anonymity of being one in a sea of 400 or 500 people. So our charge to you is to use your resources more effectively. And the best resource you have is human connection. So the concept is what I like to call spinning your web. And think of how a spider is so industrious and is constantly spinning silk, and then eventually you get this beautiful network of silks that creates the web, or in our case, human connection. And eventually you're going to catch a fly or a job, an opportunity, which may not be the biggest and best opportunity that you've ever had, but you've been so busy, there's no way you can't catch something. And the spray and pray or that internet job search is kind of like fishing, where you're just very passively standing on the dock and waiting for someone to come to you. I like to also remind our community that when you think about the previous jobs that you've had, how did you get that job? And y'all are welcome to participate at this point. You know, usually you are not hired by a computer. Right? Usually you know someone who introduced you to someone, or you had a great experience at a place and said, hey, I've had a great experience, I'd like to work here. And I'll say Holly shared a fantastic graphic I'm going to pop up on the screen for you guys. This is the hiring pyramid. You know, the disconnect in job search and career search is that employers start their hiring process at the top of the pyramid, which is an inverted pyramid, as you can see. They spend most of their time promoting or hiring someone they already know, or someone that was referred to them by a colleague, or they have a referral through a trusted organization, which in our context, that's MTSU. Right? When job seekers start here at the online job posting, then you're already starting at the low end of the pyramid, if you will, and not setting yourself up for success. The chances of that being success are very, very small. So networking is key. I think a lot of people shy away from the term networking because it can be intimidating. But if you think about that as making human connection, who do you already know? Who have you already worked for? Who can you reach out to? And there's also no shame in using social media to your benefit. And you do need to be specific. You've probably seen people post on social media or LinkedIn, is anyone hiring? Right, well, that's not super helpful either. You got to give people some context for what you're looking for or what you're really great doing. And so what I'd like to do is spend some time talking about the technology tools that we offer to the MTSU community to really help leverage your time and resources and to get new connections, especially those that are interested in engaging with our community. So I will introduce a couple resources and then kick it to Holly, who will talk about a few really beneficial tools to use. And then We'll talk about those power or transferable skills. And finally, end with your list of things to do, if you will. So you can get to all the resources that we offer from our homepage, which is mtsu.edu/career. You'll notice there is several ways to get to everything we offer. We already mentioned Handshake, which is here on the right. You can go immediately there. You can drop down this menu to access everything we do with and for students. Also know that as a member of the MTSU community, our office and our resources are available to you forever. There's not a deadline on that. We know that the average American has 12 full-time jobs in his or her adult life. 12, and that's average. So some of us have way more than that, and some of us have less. But we know that this is something that you'll be doing again and again throughout your working life. And so our online resources are available to you forever, as well as we offer one-on-one job search coaching, and that is part of what Holly and I do. So a quick, easy way to get to the resources that we'll talk about today is by clicking this internship and job search button. You'll notice that we've got videos of Handshake tutorials posted here, but we like to record what we do, so it's plug and play, if you will. The information's on demand. We know that visuals are helpful. What I'd like to do is show you a home screen and what that's going to look like for students. Know that every MTSU student who's currently enrolled has a Handshake account. It is single sign-on with your MTSU credentials. The only thing you have to do is just complete your profile the first time that you log in. So once you're in Handshake as a student user, well, it signed me out. Excuse me, let me go back. There we go. So this is what the dashboard or the homepage looks like from student view on a browser. We also have a Handshake app, so you can register again with your MTSU credentials just to use that on your phone. The job search function right here is how you find the listing of every part-time, full-time, internship, or professional opportunity that we know about. And notice immediately what is unique about this pandemic time is how many remote opportunities are already posted right here. So there's several. You can filter right here by everything from if you want just part-time or if you are only looking for full-time, if you're currently enrolled and you're seeking an internship. If you want to make sure you're only seeing paid internships, then you can filter those results right there. There is also the opportunity to target either an employer or an industry, or even to target employers who are recruiting specifically for your major. I encourage students to use the search feature and the larger filters, if you will, initially. Just because an employer has said they're recruiting students who have a business degree doesn't mean that other students don't qualify and would enjoy that work. You work in a career, not your major. And so you get lots and lots of great skills, no matter what your degree is and what you choose to do with that. So the advantage to Handshake over something like Career or Monster and Indeed is these are employers that we call warm contacts, meaning these employers have opted in to recruiting MTSU students and alumni. It is also a closed database, which means you do have to be a member of the MTSU community. Handshake is the #1 career management platform for universities in the United States. And so even though you'll see positions posted from all over the country, again, know that in order for you to see it as a member of MTSU's community, the employer had to say or opt in to recruiting with our university. The other really cool thing about Handshake is that you can find contact information for employers who've chosen to divulge that. So say, for example, you've always wanted to work for the I Have a Dream Foundation. If we click that link, we've got the company or corporate contact information. We can see the company description here. And if they have a recruiter who's published their contact information, you've got it right here. This is really handy for what I call the targeted job search, meaning that as you're spinning that web, you want to be intentional in reaching out and introducing yourself to people who are either doing what you want to be doing, or they're doing that at places where you want to work. And a cold email introduction can be as simple as, hey, my name's Kathy. I'm a business student at MTSU. I'm really interested in what you do at the I Have a Dream Foundation. Would you be willing to give me about 20-30 minutes for some professional advice and information? Thanks in advance for your time. Sincerely, Kathy. P.S. My resume is attached for your reference. So not asking them, are they hiring? Because I can get that information elsewhere. But what I want to do, and my greatest hope, is that that employer would agree to what we call an informational interview, where we can, again, make that human connection and be very intentional with who we are introducing ourselves to. Holly's actually compiled a great list of informational interview tools that I'm happy to provide with our June Anderson Center leaders, and they can distribute. Since we don't have it on our website just yet, it will be coming, but we'll make that available to you. Questions or comments so far? Okay, great. So that is a handshake in a nutshell. I would love for Holly, who is, again, our networking, human connection, and informational interviewing guru, is now going to speak about another great tool that we have for use for our community called Career Shift. Thanks, Holly.
Yes, of course. Thanks, Kathy. Okay, so another, excuse me, another database that we pay a subscription to so that students and alumni can use is called Career Shift, and I want to show you how to locate that. So let me share my screen with you. Okay, so this is on the website that Kathy just showed you. It's through our career website, and just below Handshake is the link to Career Shift. Now you need to use this particular link because it's going to take you to the MTSU sign-in page because we have a contract with them. So you can't just Google Career Shift because that'll take you to the company page. So you have to access it through this link. If you want a reminder, I'm going to go through it with you, but if you want a reminder on how to use Career Shift for networking or job searching, we do have PDFs linked here that might be useful to you if you need a refresher. So we click on this. It's a little startling when you first look at it. So it's a real simple sign in. The sign in link is down here. You can access this database even after you graduate as an alum. Just follow the instructions. Here, the last filter in the sign in page will be the group name box where you put an MTSU alumni. So once you graduate, you can still access this database. So let me show you what it looks like. So this is the dashboard for it. So Career Shift does three things. It is a job search platform, and I will go into that in more detail in a minute. You can also search for contacts. So this comes in really handy when you're trying to reach out to the HR person or a managing director at the company that you've just applied to try to find people. And it also becomes a really great networking tool to try to find people for those informational interviews that Kathy just talked about. And then I really like the company feature as well, because that will search for companies in your industry, in the city that you live in. And it gives you a really nice description and the company website. So it's sort of a one-stop shop. So the reason that we like Career Shift, let's look at the job search platform here. The reason that we like Career Shift is because it's a one-stop shop. It's an aggregator. So it's going to pull from any job posting on the internet. It will pull from big job boards like Indeed, but it will also pull from company pages, like a career page on a company website that doesn't perhaps use Indeed or one of those big job boards. So it does sort of function as a one-stop shop. So you're going to get those Indeed jobs here, but you're also going to get jobs that are posted on company pages. So you just have to play around with the keywords, or if you have a particular company in mind and you want to see if any jobs are posted there, you can put the company in. You can search by area. You can do an advanced search. And then also what's really cool is since the pandemic happened, they added this search remote and work from home button. So if you are looking for remote work, you can click that and see what kind of remote jobs come up. So this is really such a useful database, and I encourage you to use this. And then the contacts feature. So you can search in a particular industry, you can search company if you know a person's name and you just want to see if their information is public and accessible on the internet, because this is, again, it's an aggregator. So if somebody's email address and contact information or bio is accessible on the internet, this database will find it based on the criteria that you put in. You can also put in MTSU in school attended to try to find alumni that work in your industry in the city that you want to be in. So this is a really, really fabulous tool for trying to find people to reach out to. And then the company search. So let's say, I really like this feature because oftentimes you don't know what kind of companies are even in your industry in the city that you want to be in. So let's say you wanted to work in the nonprofit world. And that is listed, it's not listed under nonprofits, it's listed under charitable organizations and foundations. Let's say you want to stay in Nashville. And I always put in a zip radius, so it's not going to look everywhere, but within the Middle Tennessee area. And then I gotta move that over to see the search. Okay, so this pulls up over 1,600 companies. You can see how many companies. This will do the same thing for the job search or the contact search. It'll tell you how many come up in the search results. So that might be a little too many to go through. So if you want then to, maybe you are just interested in nonprofits that are global or international. You just have to play around with the keywords that you put in. And then you could search again, and that's going to reduce it down from 1,600 to 25 companies. So this is a really great tool. It gives you a nice description of the organization, gives you the organization contact information, their website. And so then what you can do, let's say you are doing research, and you can do this for job searching or contacts as well. You can save, let's say you're interested in this company, you can save that company, just click on the button. And then when you revisit the site, it's just a time management tool and an organization tool. When you revisit the site with your sign-in information, those companies will be in the folder over here, or your contacts or your jobs. So this is really great just to keep you organized. Maybe you're allotting a half an hour to kind of do an initial search. You're going to save the stuff that sounds interesting, and then you're going to revisit those folders to maybe reach out and make some contacts. Okay, anything to add, Kathy? Did I miss anything?
Just the company contacts button to find the people.
Yes. Okay. So yes, and use the contact feature to reach out to folks. So let's say you wanted to, let me just show you real quick. So let's say you wanted to reach out to charitable organizations, Nashville, within 25 miles. It's going to pull up a lot of people though. Right, 5,000 contacts. So you will have to play around a little bit with maybe putting in, once you find those companies that you're interested in, then you can put that company name here, and then it will pull up any contact information for that company. So that's the way to use it. But you can see here though, that it gives you the person's name, the organization they work for, what their role is, and oftentimes their email address, if it is available on the internet. So this is a great tool to use. And then the other way to search for people, to use the strategy of forming human connections, asking for those informational interviews, is to do an alumni search on LinkedIn. So let me show you how to do that really quick. So this is MTSU's main page on LinkedIn for the school. So if you visit this page, you can look here and there's an alumni button. And then any alumni that has a LinkedIn page filled out that has listed MTSU as their alma mater is gonna come up. So there's over 101,000 alumni on LinkedIn that have MTSU listed. So then you can search by keyword, job title, company, and see if there's any alums that work in the field of your interest. So let's say you wanted to find human resource managers. Just enter that. Okay, now this doesn't mean that almost 5,000 alumni are human resource managers. It just means that if they have anything like that listed in their profile, they're going to pop up. So let's say you just wanted to search for people that are in Nashville, because this is cool. It tells you where they work, where they live. So you can search by the city that you're in. So I'm just interested in looking for people in Nashville that maybe work in the human resources field. And then you can look through and see if they have their profile filled out, what their job title is, if they've listed it, and then when they graduated, what they graduated in. So you can go through here and try to connect with some people that sound interesting to you that might be able to give you some advice that you might be interested in asking an informational interview from. I always recommend that you look for, if you are looking for advice, it is great to connect with cohorts, like people that are close in your graduation date. However, I personally think that it is better to reach out to people that have that graduated at least 5 years ago, so that they have a little bit more work experience and maybe could be a better help to you. If you're on LinkedIn, or if you're familiar with it at all, you know that it doesn't give you their email address. You have to choose to connect. And then what you want to do, it gives you this option when you click connect to add a note. And we always say add a note, so that it's not just a blank connection. They don't know who you are. This gives you an opportunity. You just have a 300 character limit though, to make it super brief, that you are, maybe you're an organizational communication student really interested in working in the human resource field. You're just trying to grow your network. Thanks for the connection. So you want to say that you go to MTSU. I don't know if I said that. Organizational comm at MTSU. That way they understand why you're reaching out to them and that you have that school in common. Super brief. And then when they choose to connect with you, then you have the option to send them a longer message and ask for that informational interview. And the purpose, I know Kathy talked about this as well. The purpose of those interviews is not to ask for a job. You are simply asking them questions about their industry. How did you get into this? What's your favorite part of the job? What's your least favorite? People like to tell their story. And so if you show genuine interest and are a good listener, people will open up, tell you their story. And then towards the end, you can say, hey, do you have any advice for me? Or, somebody that's in my shoes, I'm looking to get into this field after I graduate. Do you have any advice for me? And, or do you have anybody else that I could talk to? So that you're not asking for advice right out of the gate. Try to get to know them, because you're trying to form those human connections and relationships. And that's really the strategy we can't emphasize that enough, is using those human connections. I read a statistic recently. I don't know how accurate the statistic is, but in an article, it said 80% of jobs come through some kind of connection, which makes sense.
Yes, I like to say people hire people they want to work with.
Yeah.
Right. So the advantage to getting to know someone before you need that is that they can get to know you, and are you likable? And we know that you are. And then when an opportunity does come available, you're the first person they think of. And hiring managers or other recruiters who have those kind of connections do have the power to go straight to a human resource person and say, I want to interview this person. The other thing I like to share when talking about the power of human connection and human resource managers and recruiters is that if you find a position, for example, on Handshake, and you feel like you only meet 70% of the criteria, by all means, please go ahead and throw your hat in the ring. Especially during pandemic times, you don't know, for example, how many people they are getting to apply to those opportunities. You don't know if it was maybe only 5 other people. So if you meet 60-70% of the criteria for a job posting, go ahead and throw your hat in the ring. I like to think of job postings as a wish list. Notice that it doesn't say the following are absolutely a bare minimum requirement, right? So it's a wish list for the perfect candidate. Reality is there is no perfect candidate, and people want to work with people that they like. And a lot of times you can make that connection, get an interview for something you're not qualified for, blow them out of the water. Maybe it doesn't result in a position, but wow, what a great way to make another connection to someone that is in your corner when it becomes time for you to take advantage of that.
Yeah, those, based on what Kathy just told you as well. So those qualities often that are listed in a job posting, some of that you're going to be trained in. There's always training that happens. So don't let that scare you away from not applying to a job that sounds really interesting to you, because you can always make a case for yourself. That's where tweaking your resume comes into play. That's where really relying on identifying, writing down, and expanding on those transferable skills if you're a career changer, and making a case for yourself in your cover letter, so that it piques their interest.
I'm going to share a list of those transferable skills. You've heard us talk about them a lot. Our favorite source, aside from our own website, of course, is NACE, our National Association of Career Professionals and Employers. So the idea of those transferable skills is kind of the classic term. Or soft skills. You've heard people talk about the soft skills that you gain through your academic experience and any work experience. Those are transferable. I like to call them power skills because they're definitely not soft. These are the skills that our employers are looking for. Every employer is looking for people who have the following 8, what we call career competencies. These competencies are what demonstrate your career readiness that you should have when you finish a college degree and you're ready to engage in the world of work. You've seen these over and over again, I'm sure, throughout your academic and prior work experience, but especially in the academic arena, we talk a lot about critical thinking and problem solving, oral and written communication, teamwork and collaboration. Who in here has had a group project or two? Right? Yes. And that's why, right? Our teachers know that teamwork and collaboration is important. Then you have digital technology, leadership, professionalism and work ethic, as well as career management, which is the one that kind of encompasses a lot of those, because that is your ability to articulate that you have these skills, how you gain them, awareness of what you can do to improve, and what do you want to do, or how do you want to engage in the world of work. So again, this is available in a worksheet that I will send to Megan and Kendall to make available to our June Anderson Center.
The last one on there, Kathy, maybe you can't see it on your screen.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, thank you. I apologize. The global and intercultural fluency is a career competency that has been in the spotlight, in this past year in a mighty way. And thankfully, so thank you, Holly, for calling my attention to that on the screen. This is your ability to speak to or demonstrate that you value, respect, and learn from diverse cultures, races, ages, genders, sexual or relational orientation, and faith. So every employer should be looking for someone who is open and inclusive and sensitive, right? And the more accurately you can communicate that, especially in an interview, then the more intriguing you become as a candidate, because they do want to hire people who are aware and who believe in making strides to a more inclusive world of work, especially here in the United States. So thank you. So I think the career management one, that bullet should be at the end, because that
I agree.
does include the being able to articulate everything else. So we'll provide some resources, and hopefully in the next few weeks you can see those on our website as well. So those are what we call the career competencies, or the power skills. The other resources that are readily available to you that I want to make sure you can find on our website. So the homepage is mtsu.edu/career again. And over on the left for students, you can go straight to our resume and other professional document guides. You can click this button for step-by-step instructions, how to schedule a one-on-one appointment with myself or Holly or any of our career advisors. You can learn more about what career advising means. We've got some diversity resources and some events, which are kind of easy ways to practice that making human connection, especially right now, while all career fairs or networking events have to be virtual. Then this gives you the chance to meet a bunch of employers and practice your tell me about yourself within a small amount of time. So our office offers several of those, as well as prep events in conjunction with the College of Business, to help you get ready to participate in virtual events. So definitely invite you to check out all the resources. Our resume writing guide, I'll tell you, we see thousands of resumes every year, and we're super proud of our resume writing guide, because if you do Google resume writing guide, the MTSU guide shows up on the first page of results. So we know it's effective because it gets used a lot. And it's only about 12 pages. While human nature doesn't change, the world of work has changed dramatically, and the advice that we give is based on current trends and expectations, and we break that down into a guide you can read in 20 minutes. And then we have downloadable, editable samples. If formatting is not your thing, you can even learn how to use right tabs in a Word document, which is my favorite Word document feature. Enough about that, though. Back to the job and internship resources, I do want to mention Big Interview, which is on that page right below Career Shift. Because we are in virtual times, Big Interview has become a really widely used and valuable tool for our community. It is a virtual mock interview program, so you practice video interviewing. The instructions for students are posted right here, as well as video tutorials and how to use the system. I'm going to jump to the student account dashboard that looks like this. One of the reasons I love Big Interview so much is because we as humans have limited resources. And so in the Career Development Center, there's only 3 career advisors. And so you may have to wait a few weeks to get an appointment if it's during busy season. Whereas the Big Interview tutorial videos, these are available on demand, as well as interview practice is available on demand. So you can use it anytime without an appointment. It does not involve another live person. The Mastery Track curriculum is great because it includes tutorials on how to introduce yourself. When people say, well, tell me about you. So there's many different ways to answer that question, but I think they do a great job of describing a very succinct and inclusive way to express that. So the video tutorials are great. Then you have unlimited access to practice interviews. And so from the top, so what we're looking at is the Learn page. And if you go to practice them, you can, or not, it's not letting me. Well, that button, oh, maybe I have to select this. There we go. So I just selected practice interviews, and then there's different categories. If you want a general interview with the top 10 most popular interview questions of all time, you just click right there. You can do an interview, a practice interview, according to the industry, or if there's a specific competency or skill set you want to speak to. You can even practice graduate school admission interviews or, professional prep schools. If you're interested in government work, or if you have military service, then there's links to practice interviewing for some of the most popular and fast-growing jobs available for veterans. And the way it works is it will test your screening capabilities, and the question will pop up on screen and play a recorded person asking you the question. And then when you're ready, you can hit record to record your response. You can play back your response to yourself. You can send those links to other people. For example, you can email Holly and I or one of us and say, hey, what do you think about this? It also has, right now, they're testing an artificial intelligence feature that also will measure how many times you use a filler word. How good is your eye contact, right? Are you saying, well, or those filler words, it can add up. And so it's a great way to practice that succinct communication that will help you appear as a very confident and informed candidate anytime you have an interview. So that's big interview. And our calls to action, number one, is make an appointment. If you want some more information, is make an appointment with one of us. And would love for Holly to, number two, talk about overcoming the obstacle of being a beginner again. How can you demonstrate the best way to overcome that fear?
Well, part of it is a mindset. For those of you that are career changers or a non-traditional student, it is changing your mind, because sometimes you feel like you have a bit of imposter syndrome because you're starting over again, right? And sometimes that feels like no fun, like being a beginner again and starting over. But part of it is just changing your mind about it. You're actually really not a beginner, because you have all of this work history, life experience. You probably have so many skills, those transferable skills that we've been talking about, those NACE competency skills built up that you don't even know that you have. So part of it is just acknowledging that you know more than you think you do. And so what we encourage you to do is to start making a list. List out, what are my transferable skills? You can use that NACE competency list. Also think about what else you've done, like broaden out. Have you done project management? Maybe you're really great with time management. Expand on your leadership skills. What kinds of communication skills are you great at? So that you are not only making that list, but then thinking about what I call your stories of value. So that is taking that list of transferable skills and then coming up with the actual evidence or proof through a story of how you have used that skill in the past for benefit, for an organization that you worked for, a company that you worked for, even academically. You could come up with those stories of value. And then when you actually apply to a job, you have an interview or in your cover letter, you can use those stories of value to connect the dots to just how I did this for this company using these transferable skills. I can also do this for your company. so that you're really taking charge and in the driver's seat of connecting those dots for the employer if you are entering into a new career field that maybe you don't have as much work experience in. The big takeaway is you know more than you think you do, and to reframe your thinking about it if you feel like that's an obstacle to you, and make an appointment with us. Like, we'll encourage you, we'll tell you what you know.
Thank you, Holly. Yes. Let me echo that. You do know more than you think you do. And you're not alone. We are here to walk this journey with you. Thanks again to Megan and Kendall for having us with you today. It's been a pleasure. Anytime you need us, we're in the KUC, 328, open Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. Of course, our online resources are available to you anytime. And if you have a quick question, if you don't want to email one of us directly, you can just email it to that general email box. And then the June Anderson Center is in the Student Union building, and the 300 area, if you will, in the Cecil Suite, room 330. Kendall, you want to say anything else about the June Anderson Center?
Yes, thank you both, Kathy and Holly, for participating today. And I encourage everyone to share this presentation with your friends, get on Handshake, get on the Career Development Center website, use those resources, create your stories of value, and have a wonderful day, everyone.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you.